Hello everybody, welcome to this week's ICE commentary update on the currency markets with a specific focus on the US dollar index. It's Nick McDonald here, and on the screen we have the dollar index chart. Now one thing you'll notice here on the daily chart is that on Friday we had a particularly bullish day. So we had a big down Thursday. In fact, we were behaving as expected last week in last week's video. We came up here, we made a lower high than the previous, but we're starting to move down from that, and things were looking bearish, looking like continuing in that bearish pattern. What happened then is we very swiftly put in a higher low and broke up through this high. We haven't broken up to that previous high yet, which is really going to be a key test, but it's looking pretty bullish now all of a sudden in the space of just one day. So what created that big bullish move up? Well, it was data out of the US. Let's just quickly have a look at a couple of the other currencies. We'll come back to the dollar index. But let's have a look at where this has, where this move has really come from in the dollar index. Obviously, data out of the US has really pushed the dollar up, and that's pushed euro dollar down. So you can see euro dollar being the big dollar index weighting, really big down day on Friday, wiping out previous 2 days' gains. Actually, now putting them a lower high here than the previous, and not having broken down to a lower low yet, but looking potentially bearish. So it's gone into one of those situations now where it's a potential change of trend. The trend has not changed on the daily chart, however, it's potentially about to change. The weekly is still a bit uncertain anyway, but it does look bearish with that big bearish weekly candle when it break down through it, and the monthly chart really uncertain on the euro dollar as it has been for a while. Let's look at where the biggest push came from, and it actually came from the same currency that's had the strongest, been providing the most strength for the US dollar in recent months, and that is on dollar yen. If we look at, we were up on Wednesday, up on Thursday, then a really big push up on Friday, so really strong dollar yen contributing to that strong dollar index. But if we look at some of the other currencies, the real strength really came from those particular pairs, which are the big weightings, which was making the US dollar look particularly strong. But if we look at it against some other places, like for example dollar CAD, you'll see that Friday's move was very, very minor in comparison. So against some of the stronger currencies out there, like the Canadian, the Aussie, the Kiwi, things like that, there was a bit of a rally in the US dollar on Friday, but it was very, very minor. And it was actually the weaker currencies, for example, the euro and the Japanese yen, where we saw the biggest dollar rallies. So let's come back and have a look at it. So it's not across the board strength, but it is those major weightings in the dollar index which are really giving the dollar index this big push up. So we're going to look at this now, and we're going to think, where is this likely to go next? Now obviously we had only last week a very bearish looking monthly chart. We're still in a monthly downtrend, and actually we'd need to break up above the exact high of 2 months ago. So the high there is 82.47. We'd need to see 82.50 for this to be considered any kind of potential change of trend on the monthly chart. So we're still in downtrend, but what we do have is an intra-month, i.e. in the middle of the month, we have a bullish looking monthly candle. That could close any variety of ways before the month is out. It could actually still be bearish, but at the moment it looks particularly strong, although the trend remains down. The weekly chart is actually now gone into a period where it's looking a little bit messy, because we're making slightly lower highs and lower lows here, but now we're just potentially about to break up through this little high. We need to see now what happens. So let's get very precise with the high of that week. The high is 80.66. A break up through there is going to be some real uncertainty as to what the trend is here. For now, I remain ever so slightly to the downside, but it's so close to that high, so close to testing it and possibly even breaking it, that it's turned very indecisive. And coming and looking at this on a daily chart, it's the same. It was looking so decisive. It was very clearly in a downtrend. We hit this big move down, nice pullback, nice move down, nice pullback. We were just starting to move down again when things changed on Friday, and we had this big update. Even though the trend hasn't massively changed, we're starting to put in as the early signs of what some people would call a head and shoulders pattern. I just like to call a trend reversal, because it's just simply going from downtrend to uptrend. We've now put in a higher low, and if we can break up through this particular high right here, that's the point where we've also broken up to higher highs, and we would be into a change of trend. So we need to watch it very closely. We need to watch this level. Of course, if we do break up through that, then 81 being the next resistance, I still won't be particularly bullish on the dollar, even if it has a rally here. And what I'll be doing is I'll be looking for trading opportunities around these key big number levels, as I have been many times in the past. So I was really looking for the dollar index to get back into a strong trend, and it was looking good. But now we've come back to a period of uncertainty just in the space of a week. And then I go, rather than trading with the trend, I'm back to trading with shorter term trends and looking for trades around key support and resistance levels. So on the downside, any pullbacks into 80 would look for any reasons to get long or short around that level, depending on the trend direction on lower time frames, i.e. 4-hour charts, 8-hour charts, etc. And equally, if we get up to 81, I'll be looking for any reasons to short as we get up to that resistance. Just as a side point on the dollar index, if we just zoom out here and look at where all the support levels are, In fact, we can draw this one in at 79, just down where price has been testing recently here. And you'll just see, and this is really unusual, I can hardly remember a chart where there has been such significant support and resistance around the big numbers on the chart. But these levels I've got drawn in are just levels where price has been interacting and tested in the past. 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, and 82. I'm not just picking the big numbers here, and on most charts it just would not happen. But on the dollar index, it just happens to be where the price is reacting with. So I can't stress enough the importance of these big levels for trading opportunities off the dollar index. Almost all of my trades on the dollar index in the last, say, 6 months or so have been around big numbers. Of course, it's not a prerequisite, it's not the only thing I look for, but especially in a range-bound market when I'm looking to trade off support and resistance levels, well, these big numbers are providing the best support, the best resistance, and therefore the best range-bound trading opportunities, equally the best opportunities to join a trend when I have other, multiple factors combined, giving me multiple reasons to trade around those levels. So that's what I'll be looking for at the moment. I'll be, at the moment, as long as this trend momentum on the daily is slightly up, I'll be looking to confirm that momentum on 4-hour and 8-hour charts as well. And I'll be looking to join the trend wherever possible around these key levels. And looking for, those levels to really help protect my stop, i.e. I'd like always for entry and stop to be entry, say, above 80, stop below 80, so a well protected stop, but then a good run to 81 with nothing in the way for my targets to be hit, targets to be clear, but stops well protected. Hope that helps everybody. Happy trading, have a wonderful week, and it will be very interesting to look at the dollar index again in a week's time and see, have we got up through these highs? Are we testing 81? And is the dollar index now potentially starting to look to be showing some signs of change in direction? Hope that helps everyone. Speak to you next week.